So, Rick, you were the acting director of national intelligence. This story we're focusing on today, which was released because of a court filing by Special Counsel Durham about a guy named Igor Danchenko, who was once investigated by the FBI as being a Russian intel asset trying to buy classified info while he was at a Washington, D.C. think tank from people about to enter a new administration. Then he flees because he gets word of they're investigating him. They're hot on his trail on that. That's an easy crime to prosecute. So he goes back to Russia. But then the FBI trusts him once again. They get rid of Christopher Steele because Steele is, he's going to the media. He's leaking to the media. So they bring in Danchenko for a multi-year gig as a confidential human source going through 2020. And Rick, this is the guy who supposedly had all the salacious lies, now we know, about President Trump when he was in Russia. This was the source. And yet, even after that first time around, when they knew he was no good, the FBI brings him back on the taxpayer's dime as a confidential source.
Look, let's be very clear. Danchenko was hired and paid by the FBI. Well, the FBI absolutely knew that he was a liar. They knew that he had lied so many times they couldn't trust him, but yet they paid him. Now, you ask yourself, why would the FBI be paying somebody who they don't trust? And I can't answer that. What I can tell you is that FBI agents rank and file, DOJ officials rank and file, all knew that the Steele dossier was filled with fake news, that Steele himself was compromised and paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign, and that Danchenko was the source for the Steele dossier, and he was not a credible source. Everybody knew that he was a liar. The FBI continued to pay him. Someone in the Senate has got to go crazy with oversight. This is an outrage. American taxpayers were paying a liar.
So, Rick, let me give you two theories that I have. Number one, of course, Mueller never tells my legal team, which included Jordan, when we were representing President Trump, that this was the situation with the Steele dossier. Never comes up. So you talk about exculpatory evidence. The guy they relied on, they're investigating. Okay, so that's one thing. Number two, or that his information was not trustworthy or truthful. Number two, he is retained and paid for it. This is what I keep telling everybody, Rick, until after Mueller is done. He is history. Finished. And then they still are paying this guy. So here's my theory. You asked the question, Rick, why are they paying him? Because as long as he is a human asset, their disclosure, and you were the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, their obligations on disclosure are significantly reduced. That's what I think it is.
So what you're touching on, Jay, just to summarize, is that if he's still a paid informant, then he is a source that everything he said, did, or touches can be redacted and covered up, which then means we continue to pay him so that the cover-up is never known to the public that we screwed up. It's a public relations exercise for DOJ and the FBI, who knows that they messed up, but if they continue to pay Danchenko, then they get to say, you don't get to see any of the real truth, any of the information, because we have to keep a source's name covered. Very well could be the reason.
Let me go to the phones. Connie in Washington State online too. Hey, Connie.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. So I agree. You're right. This is a bombshell revelation. My question is, why do we have to wait until the Republicans take over the House for oversight to begin in all of this? What happens if the Republicans don't take over the House?
You'll have no oversight. That's what will happen. I mean, Rick, the reality is that the oversight function here is how you get to. We'll file FOIAs on this, but they're going to say ongoing investigation. But I'm having our team look at that. But the truth of the matter is, if the Republicans regain the House or the Senate or the both, this is certainly subject to oversight by the House of Representatives. If the Democrats still control the House of Representatives, however, I mean, let's just be clear. It's not likely that they're not going to do oversight on this because it's embarrassing.
No, I think Connie makes a really great point about the problems of oversight and the politicization that we have going on in Congress. And we must have members of Congress on the House and the Senate side that, regardless of how embarrassing it is for Democrats or Republican administration, that they get to the truth. And if I can just say one thing, this is why I'm so proud to be part of the ACLJ, is because I am part of a family that gets to the bottom of facts and pushes the U.S. government, holds them accountable no matter what. And this is a case, Jay, that I think that we should absolutely look into, that we should take up. Thanks to our supporters, we have a team of lawyers that can do this. But this is an outrage. Your tax dollars are paying for a liar simply because DOJ and the FBI don't want to admit that they messed up.
It's really, I mean, it's I got to tell you something. It is, as the lawyers that handle this is breathtaking. I'm glad Durham filed this isn't a brief, by the way. It's the only reason you found out about it was he filed the brief unredacted because they're getting ready to go to trial. But it tells you how serious this was and the corruption on this. And they kept him on payroll till a month before the 2020 election, just so, in my view, and this is speculation a bit, folks, but we've been doing this a long time. He's a human source. We don't disclose it.
Yeah, he couldn't be disclosed before the election.
Right.
I mean, so you wouldn't have had time to file the right things. He was being paid until the end of October.
Believe me, this was not the story
Election's
that
first Tuesday in November.
Joe Biden would have not wanted this story out if you were a Democrat running for president.
No, absolutely not. Let's go to Mary in North Carolina on line 6. Hey, Mary.
Hey, thanks so much for taking my call, and thanks so much for helping us understand and know the truth every day. You guys are great, and we are so grateful to have you, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
My question is, Congress and Mueller went after Trump, for Russian collusion. These guys were actually colluding, and who's going to bring them to justice?
Well,
they actually are the people that are colluding.
You're right. As far as, the whole investigation, Rick, was this, Russian hoax, as we called it, this collusion by the Trump. And then in reality, the FBI has a paid informant who knowingly was investigated by the FBI as maybe working for or trying to get information for FSB, the Russian Secret Service, and then turn it around. They use him as a source. Then they fire him, but they don't stop paying him until October of 2020. But you asked the question, Mary, how do we hold them accountable? And, Rick, this is where it comes in. There's two avenues here, and this is where the support of the ACLJ members makes a huge difference. We have a team, as Rick said, that does the FOIA issues. Rick's part of the team that helps us do stuff on all this, make sure we're going in the right direction. And then there's congressional oversight, and our government affairs office works on that. But, Rick, this is going to have to be handled by the legislative branch in the large part, I think, just because the nature of the way the FOIA stuff will move slower. This would be the perfect oversight for an incoming Congress.
Yeah, I just first want to say to Mary that I'm just as frustrated as she is.
Yep.
She's right. When I was acting director of national intelligence, one of the reasons I declassified the 52 transcripts is for this exact reason. The FBI and DOJ were trying to tell me that I couldn't unredact these transcripts because it would reveal sources and methods. When I went through each one, that wasn't the case. It was a PR exercise. They were covering up their mistakes, not sources or methods. And Jay, I think that you're right. This hunch of why Danchenko was continued to be paid is to protect their storyline, to protect DOJ and FBI's narrative. And so I think if you're hearing our voice, you need to get involved because we need new members of Congress. We need people who actually get to the bottom of it. You cannot rely on Adam Schiff.
No, but Rick, you have to think about this for a moment. Bob Mueller was not being paid anymore when this guy was still being paid. The Mueller report team disbanded in June of, was it 2020? And they were gone. Really gone. The report came out in March. And this guy's getting paid till weeks before the election. Literally, not weeks, days before the election. So it's outrageous. Rick, we appreciate it. Rick, of course, is a senior member of our team. We appreciate your expertise on this.